What do you collect right now? Do you collect Sonic, Mario, Marvel, Star Wars, whatever? Chances are you probably bought from one of these two companies before, Hasbro and Jakks Pacific. Well, they both have been in business for years and have many iconic licenses, and have sold millions upon millions of product all across the globe. I've never seen these two pitted up against each other. It's always Hasbro versus Mattel, or Hasbro versus McFarlane, or Jakks versus Jazzwares, but I thought it'd be fun as someone who collects from both companies religiously, to compare and contrast their figures and see which one is more worth the price. Emphasize on that note, as I'm gonna be honest, it's not really a fair comparison. Hasbro makes figures designed for adults first, therefore they're just objectively better, but they cost double the price. What I'm saying is I'm not really gonna be comparing them as figures, but more so relevant to who's making them, as well as their demographic, the price, and how much you're left satisfied. We're gonna be looking at the figures themselves, as well as the companies, their practices, and their releases. And we're gonna use the 5-point system like always. A couple things before we start though. One, I'm probably gonna be using more Marvel Legends and Black Series as examples, mainly because I know a lot about those, so it's easy for me to talk about them. Two, I'm sorry this video took like 12,000 years to come out. My computer literally just broke and I had to send it off to get fixed. And Premiere Pro wasn't even working, so I had to re-download it and all my files got lost. And I was halfway done with this video already, so now I have to re-record it. So this is the second time I'm recording it, so great. And finally, please subscribe. I want to hit 25K by the end of the year, and if you please subscribe, you can always change your mind. It's free. Please just help me out. But other than that, I think we're good, so let's check them out. So with every standard Jakks Pacific figure, you get two things, a figure and an accessory. Not much, no interchangeable pieces, no alternate heads, not really anything. However, as you all know, Jakks only charges 10 bucks for a figure. And personally, I think it's very fair for what you're getting. The figures are always very articulated, have a decent amount of detailing, and are often even too big for the package, and they remain at $10. And the accessories are always equal in value. While you may get one mushroom with a Luigi figure, Shadow gives you 3 rings, so it's even. Since if they gave you one, that'd be bullshit. That's not to say they're perfect though, I'll never forgive them for this. $50 is an outright scam, I'll die on this hill. But meanwhile, Hasbro here is kinda all over the place. A standard figure costs $24.99 nowadays. That is after it was $22.99. And before that, it was $20. But most of their figures contain at least one accessory, 2 extra hands or a head, and a Build-A-Figure piece. So for $25, that's a decent amount. However, that's the average. Many times you won't get all that. Sometimes you just get 1 pair of hands, sometimes it's just a head, sometimes it's nothing. It really depends on what they had for breakfast that morning. And while you very rarely get absolutely nothing, I mean, I kinda just feel gypped when these two are the same price. And Black Series is arguably worse, where there are no Build-A-Figs. It's definitely better in lines like G.I. Joe and Power Rangers, though, where you do get a hefty amount. They sure do give you a lot for your money, whenever they feel like it. Like, for example, this thing. $35. For 1 left and right hand. That don't match. And 5 web accessories. And going back to Jakks, they still haven't raised their prices. In late 2021, they raised their default price from $22.99 to $24.99. Meanwhile, Jakks out here who are ready to steal the shrink ray so they can shrink the Eiffel Tower into a box so they can sell it for $10. I just feel like Jakks is much more consistent and forgiving with their stuff, so I'm gonna give them the point here. Then let's get on to the quality of the figures themselves, starting with Jakks. Like the last entry, it's gonna be more of a bang for your buck scale, and not really comparing the two individually. So like I said, each figure is $10, so you can't expect Mafex level stuff from them. But what they do have is pretty damn good. For what they are, their painting and sculpting is very nice. They've got great accuracy, some great paint applications that can get pretty precise, and some great articulation, all for 10 bucks. And even then, they've got amazing paintwork on the $5 2.5-inch figures too. And while you could say it's because Jakks' main figures are cartoon characters, and they tend to not really have super complicated designs, I mean, honestly, I don't really think that has much of an impact on the argument. Like, yeah, Sonic is easier to make than Deadpool, but both companies have proven themselves to be very capable in both their fields. And like I said, we're not comparing figures, simply the company's choices here. But for Hasbro, they've done some like epic stuff. Like everything Jakks has done, but also cool stuff like texturing on the figure itself. Face scanning technology to make really good head sculpts. Using stuff like airbrushing. I know Jakks did it, but the Chow hands look like shit, they're not green. But it's all really well done. However, like last time, they aren't always super consistent. While one figure may have had like a year of development to its name and is a perfect translation into real life, others are this. But I'd say most of the time, their figures are up to snuff, looks-wise. Their figures tend to look nice on a shelf, but take it off and move it. Yeah, they've been cutting costs left and right, resulting in this soft as hell what I like to call gack plastic, which will snap right off if you use it too much. I was moving around my Black Panther shirt I got for Christmas, and I genuinely thought I was gonna break the damn thing in half. I've seen countless people post pictures of how their figures broke after barely anything. This isn't a new thing, but it's been amped up to 47.5 in the past few years. I'm gonna give this one to Jakks again. While they aren't always super detailed, they don't fall apart in your hands. Next up, I'd say let's look at the accuracy of their figures. Like I said, both companies are pretty good at what they try to do, with Jakks nailing more cartoony characters and Hasbro nailing realism. Starting with Hasbro, they have the face scanning tech, and like I said, the extra detail really makes the figure pop. They've also been updating their process and making figures look better, like for example the advent of pinless joints that really makes the figures go hard. They still haven't rolled out these updates on everything they make, but for what it's worth, these are some really nice upgrades. As for the molds themselves, the main issue people have is the reuse of body molds. Personally though, I don't really have too much of an issue with it. It is obviously not ideal, but I don't think it ruins the figure by any means. My brain just looks at, does it look like a buff guy in a costume? It does, I'm good. Now onto Jakks, they're pretty nice too. Cartoon characters like Sonic are here in all their goofiness, and look very nice. They've got everything they need and look pretty cool. The materials do make everything much shinier, but overall it's really nice. The articulation is definitely less effective though. They really never try to cover up any of the open joints, and it can look a bit goofy. And only recently have they really started doing double jointed limbs to solve this. But again, it's not a deal breaker. Toys need to move, and there's always going to be a bit you have to give. It's honestly a tough one here, but I think I'm going to give this one to Hasbro. They've just done a really good job adding articulation, but still making the figure look very accurate. So I'm giving them the point. So next up I'd say is quality control. And for Jakks, it's a bit complicated. Mainly since they kind of range in quality. Given the cheap price, some things may be lesser attention to detail rather than just flat out mistakes. But there's definitely some stuff to talk about. Paint not lining up on things, a loose joint here and there, or on rarer circumstances, some things just not being painted. I think the worst of Jakks' quality control I've seen is my classic Sonic's eye, which was painted during a Tokyo Drift cosplay contest. But those instances are relatively few and far between, plus they can get kinda goofy, and it can make rare occurrences like this seem a tad neat and collectible. I know it doesn't really negate the point, but it's just kinda funny. Like this guy on OfferUp is trying to sell a shrugging Sonic with no eyes for $100 right now. However, I think the quality control at Hasbro is just absolutely irredeemable. With Hasbro, you're paying a premium price, meaning gradually you'd expect these occurrences to be buffed out.
Buff out! Alright, let's try that. Oh, look at that, Mario. Not buffing out.
Hasbro's quality control is complete and utter dog water at this point. It's atrocious. The issues go far and wide from paint being applied terribly to just not at all. Like the many Spider-Man figures with missing or smudged web lining, including the figures on the goddamn product images, or just general assembly issues. Here's my Build-A-Figure Korg from the Love and Thunder wave. Oh, sorry, let me zoom out here.
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, he's just like that. Ain't no way to fix him, this is just embarrassing. At least with Jakks, I don't have to mod my figure to just make it work. Man's gotta hide behind Jane and Valkyrie in shame. Take this example from Analog Toys' video on the issue.
So what about the HasLab Sky Striker? A premium item that costs $229 and one that consumers had to wait over a year to get in their hands. Well, it's riddled with QC issues. On many examples of this toy, the landing gear doesn't fully retract. The wings clip on in such a loose fashion that they look like they have cracks in them. The figure's faces are gormless. Scarlet's crossbow doesn't have a handle, so she can't even hold it. And Cobra Commander comes with 2 right arms. Let me say that one more time. Cobra Commander comes with 2 right arms. And this is on a premium item that costs over $220.
It's just flat out unacceptable. And it seems like there's a new issue every week. So this one definitely goes to Jakks. At least with them, you're not going to break the bank if you have to replace a figure or something. Then finally, let's move on to the final category. The companies themselves. Yeah, so I'm going to call this one first and then explain. Hasbro. Where do I even begin? They do not give one shit about their fans without a shadow of a doubt. They showed this by switching to plastic-free packaging, which they claimed was for the environment. But that's bullshit since their card figures still use plastic, and it was clearly just a way to save money, considering they raised their prices and laid off over 1,000 people. So yeah, bullshit. But that made the need for quality control go right out the window since you can buy an $80 2-pack and have no idea that Venom's eye is fucking missing. And this also leads to figure swappers being able to run amok. This ain't Ryan's mystery surprise review, this is a fucking premium action figure. That's enough to import a figure for God's sake. Their advertising is completely false a lot of the time. Like for example the animated Mystique with the images on the box having double pointed elbows, but the actual figure, nope. Their prices are absolute insanity at this point. Let's just bring up his ass one more damn time. This figure is $35 for this. This was $34. Which of these is more worth your $35? Their products almost never ship out on time, often months early, resulting in random charges you'll have no clue over. I've had to look over my shoulder for months now since I don't know when my damn No Way Home 3-pack's gonna ship out and leave me $100 less in my bank account. Their customer service is horrendous. One man had 2 of the same figure break on him right out of the box, and so as a compensation they sent him 2 completely different characters. Yeah, good enough. In fact, I recently went to New Jersey, and over that break, I had so many Hasbro moments for some reason. So let's count them off, shall we? 1. I found out that the Mantis figure I bought came with the wrong damn Build-A-Piece figure. So now Cosmo can't even walk right. I realized on the Jakks figure from Guardians 3, the red on his uniform isn't even fully painted, it just cuts off at his leg. My dad bought these Dungeons & Dragons figures which seemed like they were gonna break right out of the box. I tried moving the foot of this one, and it literally just felt like it was gonna snap off. I just gave up. And all of that's not even mentioning the raid. So a man bought some magic cards directly from Hasbro from what I've heard, to which he was accidentally set the unreleased at that time set of cards March of the Machine Aftermath. As you do, he made a video about it, to which Hasbro sent the damn Pinkertons to his house. If you don't know, they're literal thugs. They sent them to his home to intimidate him, threaten him with lawsuits, and much more. And they convinced him to give them the cards. That is literal theft! He paid for the cards, they gave him no compensation, and they just took them from them. They took it! That is illegal! How actually evil do you have to be? This company is one of the most anti-consumer, the most anti-consumer toy company I have ever seen. Jakks, here! And that's our adventure complete, to see what's the better action figure line between these two companies. Now the only thing left to do is the grand reveal to show who won this competition of wits and endurance. Drum roll, please. It's Jakks. Look, I'm sorry, I did not think when playing this, Hasbro would get eviscerated this hard. Like, Jakks has just been pumping out banger after banger here, and Hasbro's been taking a new L every week. Like, maybe you'd win my redundant YouTube competition if you didn't raid a man's home. But yeah, hopefully Hasbro can regain the people's trust in wallets. They could really use it right now. But anyway, subscribe right now or I'll do my JFK impression in your town. That Cleopatra's on my list of 200 girls to bang this year.